Hey guys, so tonight we've got a Game Boy Color game in here that is requiring a battery replacement. Now, some of you may know, and some of you may not know, that Game Boy games have a battery that needs to be replaced if you wish to have a save game. There are currently no save games, and so I mean, I was able to verify this. I have a little Game Boy here that I just had hanging around for some reason. But anyway, I am going to go ahead and open this guy up. We're going to go ahead and solder a new battery to it. I actually have a whole package of batteries right here. And we'll just get this taken care of. So I have to be honest with you, this isn't something that I do very often. And so this will be a new adventure for me. But also, I want to say in advance that I'm sorry about any sort of weird positioning or one-off things. The camera is literally directly in front of my face right now, so I'm having to film it a little differently than anticipated. So that screw just comes out of there. So when you buy the batteries, there's actually a little screwdriver bit that comes with it, and so I went ahead and popped that into my LTT stubby screwdriver just because it's most simple, and then the game just kind of pulls apart. That's really all there is to it. Just have to slide what little bit of fingernail I have. Oh, there we go. Actually, it slides down. So just looks like it slides down like that and then pulls right off. And as you can see, there's a battery soldered right there. Okay, right there. And so it looks like the flat side of the battery is face down. So just make note of that. And then proceed. So I need to go ahead and get my soldering iron hooked up here. Okay, so unfortunately, there were some technical difficulties with this particular part of everything. So I'm just doing a voiceover because it's going to be easier to tell you what's happening here. So I started to get this apart. Told you how I set my solder to 250. Well, 250 was not quite enough for this. And so what you're going to see here is I'm going to start to actually work on this guy. We're going to go ahead and take the soldering iron and apply it to one side of the battery here, and then realize, oh crap, I'm still in the plastic case. And then just say, oh yeah, I'm going to remove that from the case. So remove it from the case, shove the case aside, no big deal. But 250 Celsius, I guess, was just not quite hot enough for this. And this could be because my soldering iron's a little dirty or something else. I don't really know. I'm not super adept at soldering. Enough to solder two terminals like this. It's honestly pretty straightforward stuff, but I had to heat it up for a while, and then I had to adjust from 250 to about 305, I think, is what I set my soldering iron to. So you'll see that here. And just tap around a little bit. Not really sure why it's doing that. It just nothing wants to melt. I mean, I left it sitting there for a while. I'm trying to take care not to leave the iron applied to the battery for too long. Even though this is a dead battery, it's not good practice to leave a hot iron right next to a battery like that, because you can cause damage. It can explode. A small coin cell battery probably wouldn't, especially if it has no juice left in it. But you're going to see right here, I'm going to apply that, and then that solder is going to start to break down for me. Okay, you can kind of see the solder loosened up there. The iron kind of sunk into the solder a little bit. So we're going to make headway here. It's going to pull up any second now. And there it is. We broke that side free. So The other challenge here is this next side. Sometimes it helps to keep it at the same temperature. Sometimes it doesn't. I figured because one side was fine at one temperature, the other side would be as well. Unfortunately, that was an incorrect assumption. I ended up cranking it up to 320 after this. Just because things weren't melting. It was a little more difficult than you'd expect. So I'm running my iron along the bottom edge. I'm trying not to apply directly to the solder because what we're really trying to heat up is that the little clasp that wraps around the battery. And I can tell I'm damaging the solder a little bit. And that's not a terrible thing, it's just solder. It's not a big deal. I'm just scraping in it some. And soon here, I believe I change angles just to get a better vantage point. Try to come at it from the back, see if I can loosen it up a little better. So for those of you who have been soldering for a long time, if you can tell me where I went wrong here, I would actually appreciate some constructive feedback. Got this in the end. I get this done successfully, but I have a feeling it could have been a lot more simple than I made it. So I continue to heat this up. Still haven't changed vantage point yet. That's coming. But this side just doesn't want to break loose. And I can never figure out why. Can tell it's loosening up a little bit. It's starting to get a little give. Then this is where I turn the game around. And I pull the battery up a little bit further. Try to be delicate so I don't actually rip anything, but I'm trying to come at it from this side here. Pull up and actually get that to shoot out, but it doesn't work that way. So I end up folding it forward, which you'll see here momentarily. Because obviously this is just doing the same thing I was doing. Just trying to put pressure, negative pressure, I guess I should say, on that solder joint there. So it'll pop when it gets the least bit loose. Okay. Come on, Brandon. Bend it the other direction now. There you go. Alright, so this is where I take it and I shove the iron in behind. And I quickly realized that that's not making any bit of difference. It might have. It might have helped loosen things up a little bit, but there's not a whole lot you can see from this vantage point that proves that what I'm doing is beneficial. So and this voiceover here is almost over because I am just about to have success, folks. Just about. And okay, well, we got that off of there. So finally, there is our old battery. Finally popped off. So no damage done to the board either. It's actually looking pretty clean. Save for, I need to clean up the solder joints a little bit there. But when I put the new battery on, I'll do that. I'm going to add a little bit of flux to the board here where I expect the new solder to go. And then we'll get the new battery put down. Okay, so here is the new battery. This is a 1616 and a CR1616. You can tell that this is the replacement. So obviously this side is the side that goes face up. The other side goes face down. So we will be putting this side on the board and then this side face up, just like the other one was. So, and then we also have sort of, we already have kind of a orientation of the way things should go here, because this is going to be set up identically to the other one. So essentially we're going to take this here, and I didn't really realize it, but there's a notch here that sits on, and then this actually sits on one as well on the other side. So just have to solder it back into the original notches on this board, and I'm so sorry, my big fat hands are in the way, but
All right, guys, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I ride the struggle bus pretty hard on this one. I try to figure out how to actually get this soldered. Of course, I add my flux first. Yeah, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I add my flux first like I'm supposed to, like a good little boy. But then I end up sitting here trying to solder this thing just on my desk, and it doesn't work. So I end up having to go through this rigmarole of getting the battery to stay down and bending the battery a certain way and all that, and the whole chip starts to slide, and it just annoys the crap out of me. So yeah, with the battery shifting like that too. Look at that. Look at that. And you see how big my hands are in comparison to that. That just, I don't have a lot of patience as it is already, and when that battery shifts, it makes it worse. So I actually had to get my helping hands out for this one, and you'll see it's actually coming here in about a minute, maybe 30 seconds ish. Yeah, see, I'm trying to pick it up, trying to move it around, make it work. It's not working. Fat fingers, chip keeps sliding. Try to heat it up first and then put the battery on to get it to retain. It doesn't work. So that's when I just decide I'll unpack my helping hands, or my soldering arms here. And so that's what this little bit here is. But after that, we finally get it into the helping hands and get rolling with it.
okay, so we've got this guy back up here. I put my helping hands on there just because I needed something to help me hold this in place, so it wouldn't be sliding around the desk on me, because as opposed to having it slide everywhere, this just seemed like the right solution. So I'm going to go ahead and just use my tweezers, and we'll hold the battery in place here. I'll heat this up and see if we can get some of this solder to kind of flow in around the battery here. Reattach back to the board. So far it's looking really good. I think it might be actually safe to add some solder back to it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the little nub here at the tip of my solder. Add a little bit of fresh solder into this guy. Oops. That flow kind of around that battery terminal a little bit here. Okay. So now I've got this side here bumped up, and we're going to go ahead and just do the same thing. I'm actually going to make sure that this is cooled down too. We don't have any fluke rip-offs or tear-offs or anything of this battery on the board. Smooth out some of the solder. Okay, well, that side is all done. So now I did bend this terminal side a little bit here, this positive side of the battery. So I'm going to see if I can bend it back down a little bit just to make it apply a little bit better. And then I'll go ahead and repeat my process over here. This side might prove to be a little bit more challenging. This was the solder that was a little harder to break off originally too, so. We got melting solder here, that's good. Okay. We've got that bent back down, that solder applied. It's not perfectly straight, and I would like to add a little bit more solder to it though. Go ahead and just gently dab on there. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. For the most part, we should be all good to go. The next part is testing and making sure that this actually did what it was supposed to. So I'm gonna go ahead and unplug the iron here. And we'll see if we were successful. See if we get a good save game or whatnot with this guy. I'll let it cool down just a little bit before I go just popping it back into a Game Boy here. It's very warm. Kind of honestly surprised how warm it is, just because it was it seemed like it was supposed to be pretty straightforward, but I ended up having to set the iron to about 320 to get that original solder to melt even. So I'm going to set that back down there. And then the game itself actually goes right here back into the yellow part. Okay, so we've got the game back in the cartridge now. I'm going to take my screwdriver. Sorry guys, I know I'm doing a lot of this out of frame and I apologize. Like I said, it's a little tough to actually show you what I'm doing this entire time just because I'm operating on another device and it's not the simplest. Okay, you don't have to over tighten it, just tighten it enough. Slide that over there. So we're testing this out on a Game Boy Advance SP. Again, this is just one I've had kind of hanging around here. I didn't win it or get it from anything. I bought it because I originally just wanted a Game Boy, something fun to play at night before bed. And, you know, so it worked out. I got it. Okay, so we've got the SP set up here. We've got the Game Boy Yellow or the Pokemon Yellow cartridge in. We'll boot it up and we'll see what happens. I'm going to stretch that to full screen here. So the only way to really be able to tell, that volume is like full blast, isn't it? Only way to really be able to tell if your save file is going to actually save or if your battery transplant was successful is if you go into the game, set up a new profile, a new game, and we have to go through the initial setup with Professor Oak. Called Pokemon. Man, it's been a long time since I played this game. Actually, I never played Pokemon Yellow. Fun fact, my first Pokemon game was Pokemon Fire Red. For all you people who care to know that. What's your name? New name. My name is Testy. Right, so your name is Testy. Yes. And what's your rival's name? What's his name? We'll just call him Gary. Last time I put but if this one actually saves, I don't want to run into that. Testy, your very own Pokemon legend is about to unfold. Get through the initial text. Yada yada. Okay, walk around a little bit. And go to File. Save. Would you like to save the game? I'll say yes. Saving. Testy saved the game. Alright. So now I'm going to go ahead and flip off the Game Boy. Because, you know, that's just how you do it. We'll wait a few seconds. We'll flip it back on. Go back through the whole process. We'll see if the save file is there. If it is, we were successful. If it's not, we were not successful. Continue. Player Testy. There we go. So it was a success. So we know that our battery saved our game now. And if you want more proof here, I will just go ahead and turn this off. We will pull the cartridge. Pokemon Special Pikachu Edition. Plug it back in. We'll turn it back on. I don't think the Game Boy actually has any memory of its own. Blah, blah, blah. Yada, yada. Continue. player testy. There you go. That's all there is to it. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the option, and I think, I don't know if I can delete this file. I don't know. But I had to create a save game just to test after the fact. So maybe he can delete that. I don't know. But anyway, that's it, guys. That was replacement of a battery on a Game Boy Color game. So thanks for watching.